This episode of the ZuLoo Poodcast is sponsored by ZuLoo Inc., a benefit corporation dedicated to the goal of universal access to toilets, hygiene, clean water and sanitation through the power of social enterprise. Learn more at ZuLoo.com.
Yeah, this is called the Mile Fry Club.
Fry? As in
food,
fry.
right?
Oh, wow.
So apparently there's a group out there, I don't know how big this group is, but where they actually will cook in the toilet, in the bathroom.
No.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
Why?
And so anyway, he
Wait, is this
isn't that bad?
They're
anyway,
trying to get views, right? Is this a TikTok thing?
So at 30,000 feet, he decides to go into the bathroom, and using the sink, he's able to fill it with water and using some batteries, heat the water up to cook some fried shrimp.
I hate this story.
Garlic shrimp.
Oh, no.
And
garlic, of course, so it can smell through the plane.
Shrimp on the plane and no one's noticing.
Yeah. So
Maybe the flight attendant.
Welcome to the ZuLoo Poodcast, where we talk all things poop, toilets, and sanitation. Through insightful news, impact stories, and quirky humor, we aim to discuss and highlight the critical role toilets play in whisking poop out of our lives, the impact toilets have, or lack thereof, in the health and wellness of humanity, and what ZuLoo is doing to help solve the current global sanitation crisis.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful episode of the ZuLoo Poodcast. Guys,
it's another one.
It's so great to be with you again.
I know.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, I feel like we're all very vibrant. Okay, you didn't get the vibrant
I didn't
message,
get it.
but Suzanne and I did.
Yeah, you got some colors going on.
Well, all ready for the new year.
You have to show your shoes too. These are some cool
My
boots.
shoes. Oh, yeah.
These are cool boots.
I got
They are
these. I don't
cute.
know how well you can see them, and I'm not that flexible. But I love these boots. So, I have not.
They
shaved
look
my
great.
legs. I love these boots so much. They're so comfortable. I got a killer deal at
Yeah.
the
They're very
Sundance
cool.
outlet. So
Ooh.
Yeah.
thank you for noticing.
Yeah.
That validates all of my decisions.
There
right.
you go.
That's right. Yeah, we usually don't show under the table anyway, so
Yeah,
I'm glad you showed.
maybe we should just have like a shoe cam,
Yeah, there you go.
and then we can like
Mine
up
are
our
black
game.
and really basic, kind of boring.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll just put it on me.
Jocelyn shoe cam.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that gives me an excuse to buy more shoes. I'm not
Wow.
a shoe person, but I could be. Okay. Well, we have a really, really fantastic interview today. Jack Sim, Mr.
Our hero.
Toilet.
Mr. Toilet.
We got to talk to him about a lot of things. We really dived into his life journey, kind of a rags to riches story. And, you know, he was telling us about his new book.
You gotta
I'm
show
gonna.
it.
Okay,
you go.
I'll get to show it.
We love
the
these
Gumption of Mr. Toilet. Darren finished this book last night, so we will talk about some things that you learned from the book. But
Yeah.
we had so much fun interviewing Jack. He's a blast. This was his third time?
Yeah, he's
on
been on
the
the show
podcast?
third time.
And the title is so him, Gumption, because
I know.
he's all about that. That's why he's been so successful.
That really encapsulates his personality.
Yeah.
Just
And I
goes
love
for
the cover art is pretty cool too.
Yeah, this is him as well. He's
And if you notice, it's actually toilet paper, but it looks like
Oh,
goggles.
I
Do you
didn't
notice that?
Those are
that.
toilet
He's
paper goggles.
holding
Funny.
toilet paper, but it looks like goggles at first.
Yeah.
But I love it. He's so
That was
creative.
a good catch. That's very cute. It's like a
Yeah.
little Easter egg.
Well, and I remember Darren and I had the privilege of meeting him in Nigeria, and just so great, fun, high energy.
Very easy
He's
to talk
accomplished
to.
a lot.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
he not the one responsible for coming up with World Toilet Day?
he single-handedly talk about gumption.
Yeah.
and he talks
Okay.
about it in the book.
He created a world holiday.
I won't give away
yeah,
the spoilers, but he does talk about. I mean, the book, and we can get into it. But as far as him creating the World Toilet Organization and his, how he started it, and then later, just through his sheer personality,
drive
finds himself at the United Nations, and really pushing to create World Toilet Day. I mean, he was the driver behind that,
Which is
And,
November.
November 19th.
Yeah.
Mark
okay.
your calendar,
Mark your calendar.
every year. It's our
It is a
favorite.
real, actual international holiday, World Toilet Day,
That's
November
right.
19th.
I want to start a holiday.
Yeah.
You should hit up Jack and ask him how he
Yeah,
did it.
Jack will. You should.
Where's the form I
You
fill
should
out?
totally read the book, because even if you're not into toilets, and if you're just into entrepreneurship or just a cool life story and life lessons. I mean,
Gumption.
Jack's book is it, so it's an awesome read. So.
Well, before we dive into the interview and talk a
Yes.
little bit more about the book, let's hear some poo news. Darren, what do you have for us?
Yeah, poo news. Yes, of course. Airlines and planes have been in the news a lot lately, and toilets are kind of
These
an
are
integral
my least favorite stories.
part of the plane. It's kind of like if the toilet's not working on the plane, that plane ain't going nowhere.
Right.
I mean, there's a few that still go, but anyway, this is a story of a guy who was trapped in and not to put any fears into your head, but this happened.
This one will.
This one, he, you try to. I mean, some people try to use the restroom on board the plane before they take off, and I'm one of those people. Because I'm like, oh, it's going to be a long flight. I don't want to bug people. You
don't want that seatbelt light to come on right as you need to go.
Right, exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
So this person, he go into the restroom right before the plane took off, but for some reason, the lock on the door malfunctioned, and the plane had already started taxiing, and they thought, oh, well, we'll be able to get him out. They weren't going to hold up the plane because he was still in there.
This is a flight leaving from.
This is actually, it was in India, a flight from Mumbai to Bengaluru, which I think is about a 3-hour flight. Anyway, the long story short, he wound up the entire flight in the
Trapped
toilet.
in the bathroom.
Couldn't get him out.
That's a nightmare.
So-
I would because I'm kind of claustrophobic.
Anyway, so he finally, after landing, some engineers came on board and broke open the door.
That seems
And,
so hard to fathom that someone couldn't just kick the door down.
Yeah, I know. I know you'd use your boots to just
These
Well,
boots
but maybe
were
they-
made for kicking.
show those boots. Show those boots again. Let's see them.
But maybe they
these
didn't
boots.
give him that
Shave you.
suggestion because they didn't want to. But I don't know. But that would be one of my worst nightmares
Oh
because
my
I'm
gosh.
claustrophobic a little bit. When I even go to public bathrooms, I confess I go into the handicap
pick the bigger
one
bathroom.
a lot.
That's
Just
just smart.
because I get in there and I'm like, oh, okay.
But
so
that
I
also
can't
means
imagine
that no one else could use the bathroom that entire flight.
that particular one. Yeah.
Yeah, if there was only one on the
Well,
flight.
it was not clear of whether there was a second. I'm sure there maybe was. Usually there's
At least two. There's usually one
front
on
of the plane, back of
hopefully.
the plane, depending on how big the plane is. But anyway, yeah. So he that was quite a ride, probably.
nightmare.
And
Hey, but the good news is, if he needed to go to the bathroom, he was in
That's right. If
the
you're going to
right
be trapped somewhere, still, I'd rather not be trapped in there.
that's right. And this next story is a little bit different. It's not an accident. It was intentional. This guy goes into the. I guess there's this thing called the. We've probably all heard of the Mile High Club, right? I mean, that's sort of a thing.
we have heard of that.
The lucky ones
Which,
have.
yes,
Jocelyn,
we
do you have a
should-
story? No, anyway, back to
I'm
the
pleading the fifth.
yeah, you're gonna plead the fifth on that. Yeah, we should do a poll sometime. Who's all a member of the Mile High Club? But this is a different
Just give
club.
us
This
your
is
insight.
No one. That's disgusting.
this is this is called the Mile Fry Club.
Fry, as in cook,
food,
fry. Oh,
right?
wow.
So apparently there's a group out there. I don't know how big this group is, but where they actually will cook in the
No.
in the bathroom.
No.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
Why?
And so anyway, he
Wait, is
Food
this
isn't that bad?
They're
anyway,
trying to get
so-
views, right? Is this a TikTok thing?
So at 30,000 feet, he decides to go into the bathroom, and using the sink, he's able to fill it with water, and using some batteries, heat the water up to cook some fried shrimp,
I hate this story.
garlic shrimp,
Oh no.
and
Garlic,
so-
of course, so it
How's he
can
getting
smell
raw
through the plane.
Shrimp on the plane and no one's noticing.
Yeah. So
Maybe
yeah.
the flight attendants are in on it too.
I know. I call fakeness. Fake news.
Okay, well, he has 850,000 views on TikTok, so
Wow.
I don't know how you fake that, but anyway, so if you're ever on the plane and you smell this
smell
aroma,
garlic.
garlic shrimp,
Oh, gross.
it could
The
be
shrimp on the bobby.
It's not the first class. It could be somebody in the bathroom. So
They're doing like
Anyway.
the redneck cooking in the sink.
yeah, I don't think I'll try. I don't think I'll try that.
No.
Yeah, we'll skip that
You don't
one.
need
I think I like
airplane
the-
toilet shrimp.
Yeah, I think the other club sounds better.
Wow, that was gross.
Yeah. So anyway, that's going on in the news. There.
Yeah,
There you
big
go.
news.
Okay.
Well, let's get into this
Now
interview.
you're-
I know.
Now you're
we're
fully
like-
caught up.
Okay, we're caught up with the.
No need
latest.
to read the Wall Street Journal today.
Yeah, that's next time.
Okay.
Let's get into Jack.
Let's
This
get
guy
into
with
some
a
good
lot of
news.
gumption, and I don't think Jack would ever cook.
I mean, he's
On an
innovative,
airplane.
but he's not deranged.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right, let's get into it. Well, for those of our listeners who weren't able to tune into the first episode where we had Jack on with us, I would love to just give a little bit of background about who you are and some of the very ambitious and admirable goals and moves you're making in the sanitation space. Everyone, we are on today with Dr. Jack Sim. Jack is founder of the World Toilet Organization, the World Toilet Day Initiative, and Bottom of the Pyramid Hub. After attaining financial independence at the age of 40, Jack decided to devote the rest of his life to social work. Named one of the heroes of the environment in 2008 by Time magazine, he is now constructing a 65,000 square foot World Trade Center for the Poor in Singapore to coordinate an effort to transform the 4 billion poor into a massively efficient marketplace to end global poverty. Jack, I don't think anyone could accuse you of, not aiming for the stars. You've got some pretty epic goals here that are amazing.
Well, we try, there's only one lifetime and the one opportunity to do as much as possible. So I try my best.
Well, we are very excited that you're on today to speak with us. And we really want to dive into your new book, The Gumption of Mr. Toilet. I haven't had the pleasure of reading it yet. Darren, I don't think you've been able to read it quite yet either. Or
I've
did
ordered
you
it. Yeah, I've ordered it on
Got it
Amazon,
ordered.
and it's supposed to ship, I think, November 5th, I think. It's we were able to read kind of a synopsis, and we were hoping, Jack, you could give us maybe a sneak peek.
Yeah, we would love to hear, what's the premise of the book and what prompted you to write it?
Okay, I'll go now. Yes.
Yes.
So basically, the book, The Gumption of Mr. Toilet, is published by Penguin and is now available worldwide. You can read it on Kindle or hard copy. Just order it at Penguin. The story is more 88 chapters of lessons of life. So I have lived a very strange life that didn't follow the normal norm, like go to school, graduate, get a job, and so on. So I grew up in a very poor Singapore family. Singapore was very poor in 1965. And we turned from a third world country to be one of the richest country in the world within like 20, 25 years, third world to first world, and then to richest country per capita. And I saw the entire process of how poverty can end. And I became very confident that the same model can be used for any other country as long as they get the leadership to do it, regardless of whether they have resource or they are in geographically good location. I think all that is needed is leadership. I then went on to fail in school at my O level. So high school, I got nothing. I couldn't go to university. I couldn't go to college. So I started as a salesman for 3 years and realized that business is quite easy to do. So I started the first business when I was 24 years old and realized that, wow, this is so much easier than studying. And I created 16 companies, biggest roof tile factory in Malaysia, biggest clay bricks factory in Malaysia.
What was your first business?
I go to business. And after that, I at 40 years old, I then start to realize that a person should not spend time making money when they have enough money, because the purpose of making money is to be free from money, to do whatever you want to do. And therefore, there's a level where the time is more precious than the money. And if you sell priceless time, which you have only about 80 years to live, and at that time, I was already 40 years. So if you have 80 years to live and you lost 40 years making money, you want to use the rest of the 40 years doing service. And if you sell time to buy money when time is priceless, then you're making a loss-making business. So a good businessman should not sell time to buy money after he is able to have financial stability. So from then on, I became Mr. Toilet. I took a subject where the world doesn't want to talk about. It's disgusting. It cannot raise fund because people like blue issue and green issue. They don't like brown issue. But whatever you don't discuss, you cannot improve. So I started to create the World Toilet Organization. It makes a lot of humor and then tell them about the serious facts. Over the last 25 years, we've got a movement globally where everybody brought 2.5 billion people toilets. And the works continue, and suddenly this space that was created by the World Toilet Organization became a vacuum that sucks in everybody else. And politicians and Bill Gates Foundation and Bill Clinton, Matt Damon, everybody start to support sanitation. Then they realize that women suffers with loss of dignity, peeping toms, rape, and rivers are polluted, and all kinds of things happen. So the story captures the gumption of going to do something nobody wants to do and make it good. So inside there's a lot of lessons, a formula, how to solve problems in life, including how to have a forever romance with your wife.
That's in your book as well?
Yes. And there's a lot of other things other than toilet, how to do business, how to become a millionaire, just by identifying the problems that are available in society, how to be free from money, and how to also have a lovely family with your children and relationship, and then your relationship with the world. And I think I go beyond toilets. I also try to end poverty, which I'm still not very successful yet, but I started a few successful projects like ending human trafficking of construction workers from Bangladesh to Singapore. So that took about 6 years to do. And then we are also doing projects that are in education, using this book as a school textbook to teach the children about gumption, because in the age of AI, you cannot be a better robot. So you have to be a better human being, which means that your character building, your creativity, your imagination, your compassion, your resilience have to be developed. And two schools here are secondary school are using this book as textbook and creating leadership courses with the book.
Mm-hmm. Jack, there are many things that we could talk about after hearing you explain the many life lessons, and you touch on a lot of different topics in your book. I'm curious about the word gumption. It's not a word that you hear a lot, but what does that mean to you? What does that word mean to you, and why did you choose that particular title for your book?
Yeah. So gumption is very similar to another book by Professor Duckworth in America that sold very well. It's called Grit, Grit, right? Mm-hmm. And it's about having the courage and the tenacity to see an opportunity, grab it, and make it actually happen and achieve the desired result beyond your original imagination. The book Grit is an academic book. It does It validates the importance of grit through academic research of how many people succeeded because of grit. In my case, it is the story about a real person who actually did it. And so I think the two books you can read parallelly, Grit and the Gumption of Mr. Toilet. Gumption simply means curiosity. You have to imagine solutions, because if you follow the current one, the status quo doesn't give you an answer. Curiosity, courage. To imagine, you need courage because you have to defy the status quo. Then compassion. You have to love people. You have to love things and animals and environment. And then commitment. You have to stay there till it is true. And it might take decades. It's not like, oh, if 1 year it didn't happen, that means I failed. You have to have a lot of patience. Then you need collaboration. You have to learn how to be humble, to bring in everybody else and make them the heroes rather than yourself. Then you need a creativity. You need communication. You need to be able to persuade other people. You have to form narrative. You have to be able to capture windows of opportunity when it opens and not after it closes. And window of opportunity happen to open and close all the time. And you must be able to see the patterns around what are opportunity. By seeing the problems that exist, for example, there are 4 billion poor people. That's a fantastic opportunity to create a marketplace so that the poor people can then make, not just sell the coffee beans, but roast their coffee bean, package their coffee bean, and start their own coffee chain or collaborate with other people. So I think that problems teach us where are the opportunity. And so this book tried to capture all this thing in the word called gumption. And the last item is calmness. You have to be calm to get your job done. You cannot get angry. The governments are corrupt and what you get angry. It's no use. You go out there to smash some windows and say, I'm protesting. That's no use. You have to persuade people and you have to get the job finally done. Yeah.
So there were, I think, 8 or 9 like really fantastic adjectives there that all started with C, starting with the curiosity to the courage, to the compassion, to the commitment, all the way through. That was really beautiful. I'm curious for you, where did the courage come from? Because I think a lot of people, you know, they look at problems like this or even smaller ones and it seems so overwhelming. It's like, what can I possibly do? It doesn't sound like that was the attitude you took. You refused to accept the status quo and said, no, I'm actually going to start a business even though I didn't do well in school. And then you went on to start 15 more. And then by 40, you said, great, I'm going to end world poverty. So where did that courage come from?
So it comes from not growing up. If you remain as a child, you will always have all these qualities that I have listed just now. But the moment you became an adult, then you agree with the status quo. Then you get all this onslaught of bad news by the newspaper. By the way, the newspaper couldn't tell you good news because you wouldn't buy their news. People buy bad news. So what happened is that every day you're worried like, oh, this can't be done. It's so difficult and all that. Whereas if you are a child, you never thought about all the problems. You say, hey, why don't we do this? You say silly things, and it is those silly things that simplify all the complicated problems. And my ability to see everything in its essence and reduce complicated problems to a few actions is because I failed the school system. So when I failed, I no more learning how to conform. I'm still a child. And when I went to do business, I realized that I don't need to know the business. I just need to know there is a problem that needs to be solved. And when it's solved, people will be happy. And when they're happy, they will pay for it. So I even started the Australian International School in Singapore with 3,500 students, even though I myself couldn't graduates. So eventually I felt inadequate, and I graduated with a master in public policy when I was 56 years old. And now I'm an associate professor in the National University of Singapore. And I got 2 honorary doctorates from Strathclyde University and Shobit. So, the life is, I live it the reverse, right? I graduated at Singularity University with technology in Silicon Valley when I was 59. Now I'm 67. So I'm hoping that there are people to come forward to take over the World Toilet Organization in good hands. I'm trying to set up a World Toilet Organization Center at the University of Singapore so that the legacy continue. Mm-hmm. And my future dream is to be a visiting professor traveling all over the world with my wife. And I get invited to speak in all countries. And that's my romancing journey with my wife.
That sounds amazing. I think this is a fantastic plan.
I think I need to skip ahead to that part of the book first, probably.
Yeah.
It's all in the book.
Darren's doing that now. He's traveling the world with his beautiful wife. I think they have it figured out.
Yeah. So the book itself captures all this and more. And every time you finish reading a chapter, there will be a little lesson at the bottom to just summarize what you have learned. And probably the reader would have learned something else. I hope this book can become viral and that everybody who reads it recommends it to their friend if it was useful to them. And I hope that this can go all over America and Europe, and people can really change their life or simplify it. In fact, I think if you bought the book and it didn't simplify your life after you read it, I'll give you a refund.
Okay, you heard it here first, everybody. Straight from the author's mouth, you will get refunded if it doesn't change your life. I think, though, as I hear you speak about kind of doing life in reverse, you didn't do well in school and now you're getting these honorary doctorates and your master's, kind of in your 50s and 60s. I think that is very encouraging for parents who are watching their kids struggle academically. It doesn't necessarily have any bearing on future success. I think it is those qualities of courage and compassion and grit and gumption. Those are the skills. Getting an education is wonderful. And if you can, foster those kind of qualities in your children, they will find a place, they will find a way to succeed. And I loved what you said about you'd never learn to conform because you failed. That is powerful.
I think that the academic system makes students stupid. It doesn't make you clever. So first of all, it teaches you numeracy and literacy, which is what you need to survive.
Yeah.
But then after that, as you go further, it makes you more and more contrived. You see, a child has multiple talent. He's just not only good in academic study or have a fantastic memory or are good in analytical things. They might be creative, but the school doesn't test them on that. So the school tests on a very limited range of skills and talent, whereas the child has much more than that. And everything that is beyond the academic examination is not graded. So you get a kind of a group thing at the leadership in the top level, in multinational, in government, in military, and they all think in the same way, and sometimes very aggressive, and sometimes they lost all the other talent because of the paper certification. So if you are a parent, try to discover what is your child's talent, no matter whether it's academic or not, because everybody who gets a degree go to compete and couldn't get a job anyway. Why don't you unlock your child's talent, and your child will live a very happy life, very fulfilled, and you see a happy child rather than a child that got a good job. I mean, he still will survive, because once you're good at something, you will be able to survive, usually.
So it sounds like.
How did your? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Darren.
I was going to ask you. So it sounds like gumption is something that could be taught. Is it not something you're born with, right?
Gumption is something to unlock your talent. That means if you read about this, you realize you have. But somebody along the way told you that don't do this, don't do that. Don't be too smart. Don't be irritating. Don't challenge your authority. And then you start to get smaller and smaller. Now, this book, I hope, opens you back into your original childlike state, and you become, you realize that you're actually so damn good, just that you don't have to follow other people. Of course, good for goodness sake, right? Don't use your talent for bad things. But I think every human being are born with some gift, and we should discover those gifts and use them for the better society.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious, Jack, your experiences early on in your life. You mentioned that you were born in the slums, and then Singapore had a drastic economic shift from the time that you were born, for the next 25 years. What was it about your early childhood experiences that led you to have a passion for, why sanitation? Why did you choose to focus there first?
So first of all, I grew up in a slum, so it was the same as all the people that I'm trying to help in the developing world. So I fully understood that. And I also understood the feeling of going to a toilet where everybody's shit is in there and there's a lot of flies. And as a child, it's very traumatic. Yeah. And you see sanitary pads, blood and all that in the bucket below you, right? So I think that gives a very strong impression that people shouldn't live like that. But of course, I didn't suddenly become a social worker. I went through the school process and went to business. But once I realized that I could be financially independent and I could focus on doing social good, then I choose this because nobody wants to do. The best service to do is the one nobody wants to do. Today, all the NGO has given up their work and do one thing called climate change. Only that one thing, because there's a lot of money people are throwing at you. And then that is the one place that I don't need to go, because there's a lot of people doing that. So I have to go to the part that nobody wants to fund. And I think those are the neglected issues are the most important issues.
Mm-hmm. I'm sensing a theme where most people see a problem that they don't want to touch. You view it as an opportunity.
Absolutely. And that goes together with like setting up the Australian International School. We were just in the pub and drinking, and some Australian were grumbling that there's no Australian curriculum international school in Singapore, and how could that be? And this is so inconvenient for his child. And then just listening to this guy grumbling, we say, hey, why don't we start a school? And then my friend says, but we don't know anything about education. And you are an O-level failure. Come on, Jack. What are you talking about? No. We are entrepreneurs. We don't need to know. We just have to employ a retired principal from Australia who knows how to do it, give her $1 million and let her run it. We don't have to know anything. We just need to know that there's a problem. And then she came to Singapore, and she started with 32 students and grew to 3,500 students. And we built a spanking new 1 kilometer school for the Australians community. And then 50 other countries joined in the school. So when you start, you do not know how big it is. You just start. You don't procrastinate. You don't sit there and wonder, hey, maybe this is not going to work. Don't think like that. If it's not going to work, you lose some money. But you don't do, you never know.
Yeah. I'm curious, and I think Darren wondered the same thing. What was your first business?
My first business was selling roof tiles.
Oh, okay.
And the roof tiles in Singapore was from Malaysia, and they're all made of concrete. And the insulation was not good, and the houses inside were very hot. And then people have to turn air condition a lot. Whereas if you have clay roof tile, then insulation is very good. And then you just use a fan. It's tropical countries, right? So I saw in Europe all this orange roof that looks so beautiful. And I say, I'm going to bring these tiles to Singapore. And we sold the tiles for 3.5 times the concrete tiles price. And eventually everybody loved it. And in 3 years' time, the whole country uses clay roof tiles, and Singapore looked like Europe. And then the factory says to me in France that you cannot buy from us. We're going to set up a factory together. It's too much volume that you are importing, and we're wasting freight charges. So we set up a big factory in Malaysia, and now Malaysia is also using clay roof tiles. And this is an example of, I don't know anything about manufacturing. And I got to go and find the clay deposit and all that. It's a lot of little process that I learned along the way. And it starts with, where's the problem? And if the problem is there, you don't have to think about resource. Don't think about money. Don't think about talent. Those come later. You have to think about the problem and how it's solved. And once you saw that it can be solved, you start to raise the fund, you start to bring the talent, and you don't really have to do very much. You are an orchestrator of external stakeholders. And the same thing with social work. When the World Toilet Organization start, we go to the media, and then the media attracted the politicians because they can win votes and popularity if they build toilet. So we help politicians win election promising people toilets. We don't have to build toilet. If I were to start fundraising to build toilet and become an implementation NGO, I think by now, 24 years already in this work, I would probably have built 100,000 toilets. And that's nothing. Whereas Prime Minister Modi built 110 million toilets. We got Brazil investment, $14 billion in their sewage treatment plant, by asking them to privatize it. So they passed a law after I lobbied the Brazilian Senate. We clean up all the public toilet in China. Now every public toilet in China is clean. And it started in 2004 when it was horrible. It was so dirty. It was like dirtier than toilets in Europe. But now it's cleaner than toilet in Europe and America. So those are the transformations that we get very, very satisfied to see it happen. I went to the favelas in Sao Paulo and I saw the connection to all the slums, and the people are so happy, and they kind of say, you did us a very good favor. Now there's no smell in our favelas, and the children are playing everywhere and they are safe. So those are the reward. You don't get rewarded for money because I've been working 27 years for free. I don't earn a single cent doing this work. But it gives me a lot of satisfaction seeing people's life gets better.
Well, Jack, we have just a few minutes left, and you have, kind of shared with some of the things I wanted to end on. You've been in this, doing this work for 27 years, like you said. What are some of the proudest moments for you that give you great hope for moving forward?
The proudest moment was 13 years after we set up the World Toilet Organization. Our founding day was enshrined at the UN General Assembly as the UN World Toilet Day. And all 193 countries celebrate UN World Toilet Day every year, and they use it to announce policy and solve problems. So now Indonesia has a new president, and I'm going to work hard in Indonesia, which is a very big country, to get everyone a good sanitation condition. 19th of November, next month, I'll be at New York UN headquarters, and we have this big commemoration with all the UN agencies and all the countries' ambassadors to solve this problem and discuss a workshop how to carry on to collaborate together. So As an ordinary person with no authority, no power, no money, I can go to the world stage and orchestrate everybody to take the subject of sanitation and solve it by themselves. I think that there's this quote from a philosopher in China. It says, when the work is done and everybody says we did it ourselves, that is leadership.
Mm-hmm.
They say they did it themselves, not you did it with them. That is leadership.
I mean, not bad for a guy who didn't do so great in school. I think your story is extremely inspirational. And the book, everyone, is The Gumption of Mr. Toilet. You can get it on Amazon. I cannot wait to read it. I know Darren has his copy coming in the mail. We are very, very excited.
And we're going to put it on the marketplace. We're going to put it on the marketplace as well. And we're super grateful for your leadership, Jack. And hats off to you for all your vision and your gumption.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks for this opportunity to make more publicity for the book.
Yes, anytime. We're always here. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you. And give me a review after you have read it. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Darren and I will commit to that.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Jack.
Oh, wow. He's just amazing.
He's our hero, Jack. We love Jack.
Mr. Toilet. And I love that, that's what he likes to be known as, Mr. Toilet.
He's so proud of that.
And he's so direct. He's like, let's talk about the problem. Let's not shy away from it. Let's get into it. And
he has so many jokes, so many little, he's great.
He's very ambitious with his goals.
Yeah. I mean, the gumption word really captures Jack and his personality, just his force of his, just putting himself out there, using humor, just, and just
making it just like, hey, this relates to all of us. Like, I love how he just makes it so real. Like, every human on the planet can relate to this.
Yeah. I mean, some of my favorite parts of his book were talking, he talks about his whole story of how he grew up and World Toilet Organization and then World Toilet Day. It just sort of like, he hadn't planned on this, but he just kind of goes for it and awesome things happen, And so, like I said, even if you're not into toilets per se, that just hearing his story, one of his statements, he shares a story when he went to get some money from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and he's like, oh yeah, maybe I should ask for a lot of money. He's like, oh, maybe 100,000, maybe 200,000. Thinking that was,
this
to
is
him,
very
that was a lot of money.
Grassroots beginning. He had no
and
idea.
He's always been grassroots. He's people think he's not like a billionaire that's got all this money, but he's just done with what he has, and using other people's resources. Yeah, very resourceful, and and that's. And then he found out later one of his friends had an organization. They got like $2 million, and he's like, "Oh crap! I didn't ask for enough."
Right.
And he says that was a life lesson to say, you know what? If you're gonna do something,
ask money from the Gates,
go big or go home. Right.
One of his lessons: be bold and make big requests.
I love that.
Okay, that's good.
And each of these chapters, he gives a little life, a little lesson that he learned from that experience, whatever. Awesome. So I mean, it's a really fast read. And
I love that. That's so true. It's like, the worst somebody can say is no. So you might as well just go big, and then they can be, well.
Yeah, he talks about starting up the World Toilet Summit and just, things happen. Things just fall into place, because they resonate with what he's talking about. And one of my favorite parts is where he talks about, which really aligns with ZuLoo's mission, is to, really we can't rely upon the government or some, it's really going to be innovation, social entrepreneurship. That's what we really focus as we do on the podcast, people that are either innovating through technology or what have you. And, his conclusion is that the only way we can really solve the global sanitation crisis is through social entrepreneurship.
Social impact, awareness, education.
One of my favorite parts of the book is he talks about donating money to help people that without sanitation will not move the needle in a world where there are 4 billion people without it. We need system change solutions in order to change the world at scale. Social business is the opportunity where social innovations can balance between profits and purpose. and design new solutions, empowering those without to help themselves.
Yeah.
And that's just like, boom, that's like ZuLoo's mission, 100%, you know? It's really that balance between, we want to be profitable, the products we help sell on the marketplace and what have you. But at the same time, we're having that impact. It's that balance between the two.
And it's rewarding to hear the individual stories of like our toilet recipients, which is, it's great because you hear how it is affecting real people in their real life.
Yeah.
But Jack's right. Like in order to make lasting global change, it has to be systematic. It's not just going to happen, a toilet here, a toilet there. And it's good to know that people like him are on the case.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because he's not going to stop till he figures it out.
Yeah.
Super, super inspirational. Like I said, even if you're not into toilets, I mean, it's just an awesome.
And you just got that on
awesome
Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon. You can actually, we'll have this up on the ZuLoo Marketplace as well. And
Can we just remind everybody about the marketplace? Because that you could buy some stuff anywhere, but why not buy it here at the marketplace where it will make a difference?
That's right.
Yeah.
A portion of every sale on the marketplace goes toward ZuLoo Humanitarian, which is our nonprofit affiliate, and they're the ones who does the actual work in country in India, Zambia, different places.
And we have all kinds of fun
stuff
products on
the marketplace. Yeah, really fun things that you would want to buy anyway.
Yeah,
especially for gifts.
Always having new things come on there and stuff. So, we're super excited about it, and thank you, Jack, for coming on the show again.
Yes,
the third time.
And for
Jack.
being inspiring. And
I think he was our second episode ever. Like when
That's
we
amazing.
started the
really?
podcast, he came on. He was like,
my time. All right, you guys, we're so glad that you could join us today, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the ZuLoo Poodcast. Follow us on social media at our links in the show notes below. To learn more, visit our website, ZuLoo.org. If you liked the podcast, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. For even more ZuLoo fun, send us an email with your toilet stories to podcast@ZuLoo.com for a chance to be featured on the podcast. This episode of the ZuLoo Poodcast is sponsored by ZuLoo Inc., a benefit corporation dedicated to the goal of universal access to toilets, hygiene, clean water and sanitation through the power of social enterprise. Learn more at ZuLoo.com.